When did you realize that you were officially not young anymore? When a song I loved as a teenager appeared as an oldie on the radio. I DJ'd a wedding a year ago and the groom asked me if I could play that one oldie. Get Low from Lil Jon. This has been the only one that has made me wince. This seems fair, it's nearly 20 years old. Get Low is as old to today as stuff like Grandmaster Flash was to back then. When I was 13 in 2002 I definitely saw Flash, KRS-One, Run DMC and things like that as old school hip equals hop and it's the same differential. I felt old a long while before this, but that compilation called Now That's What I Call Dad Rock with Sum 41 and Avril Lavigne on it was a bit depressing. My 17-year-old nephew has a girlfriend who's into the oldies, you know, like Pearl Jam and Smashing Pumpkins. That made me feel old, lol. Yeah, I've been seeing many a tween wearing Nirvana and Nin shirts. It makes me happy that the music is still being appreciated. I listened to oldies when I was teen as well. You know, The Doors, Styx, Zeppelin. I just heard I'm Blue by Eiffel 65 on the oldies station. Get out of here with that. Here in Boston, I was annoyed when the classic rock stations started playing songs from the 80s and 90s. What? This isn't classic rock. Then I did the math and got depressed. Worst thing is, they canned the oldie station a few years ago. The rock from the 70s would now be considered an oldie. TG for Spotify. The music is the best thing about being old. Nah. The best part about getting older is not giving a shit what other people think anymore. And the music. Smile. When I dislocated my jaw lying in bed yawning. Didn't even think it was even possible. Similar, except I woke up with a sprained ankle. No sleepwalking, no weird sleep Olympics, just held it or twisted it weird while sleeping and sprained it. I have done this 3 times after turning 40. Don't turn 40, kids, stay in your 20s and 30s. I'm 26 and had that happen. Do I win a prize? You are now an honorary 40-year-old. Here's your welcoming package, khaki shorts, Home Depot gift card, and free box of wine. White wine, because red will give you a headache. Now you must have been tired. It was free day, Sunday, bad weather outside. I was in bed lying on the side, chilling, reading a book when mid-yawn I heard weird noise. I was never out of the bed so fast. By the time I got to the mirror I heard another snap and jaw went on its proper place, but I had swollen left lower side of the face for another 3 days. Talked to my doctor next day and he said, I should not eat hard or any food that needs a lot of chewing for a week or 2 and not to open mouth too much. I am reminded of this every single time I yawn. Bad shit always happens on a day off, doesn't it? I will never yawn again. Damn it, reading this made me yawn. Took my fiancée back to the university I attended and we went for a drink at my old favorite bar. Ordered a margarita and the waitress said, do you want the well tequila that we serve to everyone or like adult tequila? We were so shocked that we were being called out as the only adults at a college bar that our response was what? No, well is totally fine. But then ended up regretting it because it was so terrible, haha. Ended up regretting it because it was so terrible, haha. That's how you know you're getting old. I went to a nightclub last weekend and everyone looks like children, was told over 40s shouldn't be allowed by a few 19-year-olds. And when is your court date for assault? Luckily I gave him a very firm handshake and received an apology, smiley face. When I got my first decent car and accompanying loan. 40 years ago and I still remember the payment amount. $207.72. You were paying over $200 on a car loan 40 years ago? What were you driving, the goddamn space shuttle? Reasonably recent references are met with dead silence and confusion by young adults/teens. Kids call you sir that man over their body aching the morning after moderate physical activity. Food starts to give you problems while you used to eat tons of it with no repercussions. It was very weird to me to hear my girlfriend's sisters talking about how they learned about 9/11 in history class Lamau. Wait till you'll hear, yeah, that song is old, it's from 2008 or something. Like, damn, I was already old enough not to be with it about earworms and musical fads. And to you it's what disco was to my general. I just bought a new mop and was really excited to go home and use it. I mopped the whole apartment in absolute bliss. I finally decided that I will not fall for the Swiffer commercials again. Glad you found your mop. I bought a frying pan last year and it's changed my life. We are cool. I bought the Swiffer wet jet mop thingy and was so freaking happy about it. I told my friends and mom about the gunk it picked up. It's so sad. Oh well. The pads are a rip-off though. Make sure to buy third-party washable ones. Makes it way cheaper as you'll only have to continue buying the cleaning solution. I'm scared of teenagers now. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, or strike a violent pose. One day my back decided to leave a memo. I told my doctor during a routine physical that my back was all fucked up. Figured he'd put me through some tests and give me some magical cure. He laughed, told me getting older is a bitch, and sent me on my way. The problem is you're using it wrong. You can stretch for an hour a day. When will that fix it? Oh no, you just do that now. This is literally my life now at 37. Stretching out my back and legs 30 minutes a day. Take really good care of your back, people. The older people in my life weren't making that up. When my best friend and I were planning for a concert next month, and for the first time in our lives we were like, do we want to buy seats instead of standing in the pit? Don't forget earplugs. I absolutely hate myself for not listening to people about ear protection. Kids, you do not want tinnitus, it absolutely ruins life, permanently. Sincerely, a guy who hasn't known silence for years. I studied sound tech and am a musician on the side. All of my teachers would preach wearing earplugs. I finally did it at an OFX gig and the sound was just so much better because everything became dialed back. I could hear all the instruments in the mix and there weren't any clashing frequencies. I rep earplugs for life now, lol. Edit, pretty cool that people here seem to be so interested in sound engineering. I'm happy to pass on some knowledge to fellow musicians and techs. My sister and I have tickets for Rightfest 2022. She was like, do you want to spend $850 for VIP tickets that get us clean private toilets, air-conditioned bars, and whatnot? I was like, fuck yes, worth it. Saw some neighborhood kids messing with a stop sign while driving home. I slowed the car down, rolled down a window and said, hey, I think maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Which in my mind meant cut it out before an adult catches you. But these kids look sheepishly at the ground and give me an okay like I was the adult in the situation. Which I was, gently chastising children for fooling around with public property. Well, either the time or when I buried my father and realized I was the oldest living male in my family. That was more sobering than fun. I didn't like the end of this one, disappointed face. Just wait until you are driving into work, and have the realization that someday you'll be laying in a bed, surrounded by family, taking your last breaths. Then wonder what that's gonna be like, what you'll feel, of you leave and be cognizant of what's happening. Then question why the fuck you are going into work when you've definitely got better things to do, but you continue on to work because you need to make money. I've been having thoughts like that since I was 9. Frown. When I have those thoughts I have to quickly find something to distract me. The existential dread of that question haunts me sometimes. I was in my late 20s, at work talking with one of our new interns. I can't remember why, but she asked how old someone was and I was like, I dunno, about our age? She gasped and asked, how old do you think I am? Then I gasped and asked, how old do you think I am? Anyway, that's when I realized I was not young anymore. Haha, both offended each other. I wonder if she's posted too. LOL, I was bored gaming with some mid-20s folks and somebody got referred to as about our age. I was early 40s at the time and felt pretty good about that. Later I did the how old do you think I am? None of them guessed over 30. Which felt really good. Threw my back out on my 30th birthday. Why did you throw it out? Did you get a new one? It was when I went to casually step off a 4-foot drop. I had 1 foot of the ledge and my brain screamed danger. I had to stop, reset and prepare myself to absorb the impact and make sure I bent my knees. 20-year-old me wouldn't have thought at all about that. I was in my mid-30s at the time. My kid asked me to do a cartwheel and I had the same thought. I was initially like, I can totally do a cartwheel. Stood up to do one and just stared at the ground. Danger, danger, lol, mommy will probably hurt herself if she tries this. That's when I knew, I'm old. Walked into nightclub in my mid-30s and got the what's my dad doing here? Looks. Yep, the party was over. This is something the metal community has going for it. There are often people from youth to elderly there. I went a few weeks ago to a show and there was an elderly white-haired bald man with a cane rocking out. He had to be at least in his 70s. I'm not even 30 yet, but I already have realized I barely understand my partner's teenage younger siblings. Their culture is entirely different from when I was that age. Also got really excited to take my first Costco trip as an adult. Looking in the mirror. I'm in my mid-20s, but within the past year I've noticed that my reflection has reasonably changed and I definitely wouldn't be mistaken for a teenager anymore. The changes have started. I didn't notice much until I had to renew my driver's license after having had it for 10 years. The difference between the photos is significant. This woman looks so tired. When I realized having a 1 in front of my birth year is all anyone needs to know I'm old enough to purchase alcohol. I don't know why, but that dumb fact just hit me like a ton of bricks. You see a Reddit handle with CoolGuy05 and you realize that it doesn't mean they registered in 2005. I never understood the birth year and usernames thing. Lol. Nice try, old man. You see 68 or 70 in the username and assume they're in their 50s. You see 69 in the username and assume they're 12. When a 22-year-old offered me their arm to get down steps. I'm not old, I was just tired, you little punk. A well-behaved 22-year-old, you'll have to agree on this. Yeah, that's a well-mannered 22-year-old. I'd say that's a well-armed 22-year-old. I was just around 30, and I filled in on bass for a buddy's band that was playing a frat party. At this point I was at 2 kids, 2 cars, home in the suburbs, career in tech, just being the stereotypical dad. During set break I went up to take a leak, and the toilet wasn't flushing and the bowl was full of TP and piss. So, I took off the tank lid, and noticed that the chain holding the handle to the flapper, the part that stops the water from going right into the bowl, had rusted off. I quickly just hand crimped the chain back together and got that puppy flushing like a champ. On the drive home I realized that I was old. This doesn't mean you're old. This means you're not lazy. In your defense, I started doing that shit in high school. Loose bolt, fuck it, I've got pliers and this will take 2 seconds. That being said, I was deemed to be the resident cranky old man while I was still in college, so that might not mean much. Dived off the stage at a Dropkick Murphys gig. Realized mid-air that I was no longer 18, I was 30. Didn't clear the barrier, fractured my kneecap. Looks like you're shipping up to Boston Orthopedics. That's why they're called Dropkick Murphys, not Drop Flop Murphys. Had a truck sitting in front of my house a few weeks ago for like an hour, at around 1 a.m. Didn't know what they were up to, but I didn't like it. Finally knocked on the window and said, I don't know what you're doing, but do it somewhere else. Turns out it was a couple of teenage kids fooling around, one of which lives a few houses down and I'm assuming didn't want to get caught by her parents. So yeah, I pulled a literal damn kids, get off my lawn. On them. And now I'm that curmudgeonly old guy that lives down the street and I'm only 35. Similar situation. Kids throwing parties as summer was winding down. Loud music and laughter/voices. I said to myself, it's 10 p.m. shouldn't they be turning it down now? Started debating going to knock on the door and tell them to just turn it down a bit. Then I realized, it's Saturday night. I realized I am officially that cranky neighbor who's home on a Saturday night with nothing better to do but get mad at the teens doing exactly what I used to do. When I was trying to hang out and play with my kid at school drop-off, and she was like, Mom. Not in front of my friends. I realized in that very moment that I was not young, fun, cool mom, but indeed old, regular, embarrassing mom. Also, every single time someone calls me ma'am. There's no such thing as a cool young mom to kids. Lol, you could be a literal celebrity and your kids will still see you as grown and lame once they get to that age. Even The Rock's daughter tells him to shut up when he tries to sing along with Maui when they watch Moana. Lol. You can't win. When one of my younger co-workers took it upon herself to explain to me who Cardi B was, I already knew who she was and was familiar with her music. Apparently I just looked like I needed to be supplied with this info. Edit, thank you, kind Redditor, for the award. I had no idea this would blow up like it did. Thank you for embracing my old age. Being almost 40 is a raw deal, indeed. The other day I had to explain to a younger coworker what it was like viewing the September 11th attacks as they happened and I was like, oh fuck, this little cunt doesn't even remember the day it happened. And then he told me he wasn't born then and I had an existential crisis. You should have explained to her what a cardigan was. That would have shown her. Yeah, I'm not really into older music like Taylor Swift. And to think the whole Taylor Swift and Kanye West taking the Grammy debacle was over 10 years ago. Edit, who else feels old now? One day I woke up with agonizing pain in my lower back radiating down to my legs. Felt like I was being jabbed with a cattle prod repeatedly. Eventually learned I somehow gave myself a herniated back, despite not doing anything strenuous. Took me like 6 months to fully recover, and ever since then my back aches if I sleep in a bad position. I'll start. I haven't considered myself young for quite a while but then again didn't think I wasn't not young either, makes sense to me. Now after a recent incident I am swayed that I am definitely not young. The incident was when I dropped something on the floor and smashed it and instead of swearing like a regular human, say a 20-year-old something human, I said the word ratbags. Then got a flashback to my mother saying that when I was young and me thinking geez how old is she? Be nice to hear how other people's memories have been triggered like this. Edit, I never thought it would take off like this. It's good to know I'm not alone in my thoughts. Thanks for the awards but most of all for the laughs. You're a hoot Reddit. Being called sir constantly now. Every fucking time. Grey pubes. Gray forearm hairs which gross me out more than gray pubes. Memory fading a wee bit. Having older teenagers who constantly remind you of how old you are by telling it to your face. The need for Cialis, although sex with wife is still fucking spectacular. Losing touch with tech a little more each year. Shitty fucking mumble rap and realizing that I am immediately older for hating certain kinds of shitty new music. Trying to keep up with TIL, DL, DR, emo, WTF, ERK, GTFO, WSB. And finally, not really giving a shit about porn sites anymore. I have better things to do. Like telling you to get the fuck off my lawn. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to request any topic and please consider subscribing. Thank you. Smile.